Welcome to the audiobook of The Great Housing Hijack.
Chapter 19, Zoning Zealots. A quote, "It is costly and inefficient for developers to hold inactive land." End quote. That's former Stockland CEO Andrew Whitson avoiding focusing on the gains made from owning undeveloped property in an article called "The Free Market Has Failed to Provide Affordable Housing in Sydney and Melbourne" by Sue Lin Tan in August 2016. Let's begin. A popular hoax housing policy is to remove the zoning and planning regulations that put local limits on density and to upzone to allow higher housing densities. One of the major selling points is that this policy costs governments nothing, so why not do it? But upzoning is not free. It is unpriced. That is why the property owners are so fond of it. To understand this, recall that property rights to invisible boxes of three-dimensional space are the emergent result of many interacting laws, including zoning and planning laws. Just as property can be carved up horizontally into lots, it can be carved up vertically too. Zoning laws that limit density are a tool that carves out some of this airspace property to reserve it for the public. Sometimes planning regulations explicitly regulate property in a way that separates the rights to airspace from the rights below, so that airspace can be traded independently. New York famously has a system where air rights can be traded among different property owners at different locations, so that unused rights to density can be traded to owners of another lot to allow them to build to higher densities than would otherwise be the case. In the board game Monopoly, the rules about how many houses and hotels can be placed on each property are like planning regulations. Upzoning in Monopoly would be like the bank giving all the current property owners the right to build even more hotels, like stacking another level of the board game on top and handing the new level to each of the owners below. It's great for the players who own the most property, as it gives them new property, but it doesn't help the players who own the least or none at all. Imagine you can build an apartment complex with 100 apartments under currently defined property rights, including planning and zoning laws. You could build 200 apartments if you were given the property rights to the publicly owned site next door. You could also build 200 if you were given property rights to the airspace above. Both options have roughly the same value to you and are hence economically identical. But you can get airspace rights for free if you lobby for upzoning, while you would have to pay the market price for the property next door. Rights to airspace are as real as any other property right, and upzoning changes the rules so as to hand this property right for free to the owners of the property below. No wonder there is a huge incentive to lobby for upzoning and foster supply superstitions. These property rights could be priced instead. It would be economically irresponsible for a government to give away property like a public park to a neighbouring private property owner so they could build more homes. That property would be sold at market prices. But when the property right is in the air, we all too easily give it away for free. Since these rights could be priced instead, the lost revenue is an invisible cost to government budgets and a gift to property owners. No wonder they lobby for it. This section's called "Pricing Upzoning Property is Possible." It is not always true that a property right created by upzoning has a value. Existing limits on density can be higher than their density equilibrium, and often are. But it is also... This was a free sample of the audiobook of The Great Housing Hijack. To get full access, sign up as a paid subscriber at fresheconomicthinking.com.